What's going on, guys? Chris here. Today we're going to be doing an Adobe After Effects tutorial. Today we're doing a Trapcode Particular, and more specifically we're going to do some rain here with Trapcode Particular. Now you can get rain with, I believe there's actually a plugin called CC Rain here in After Effects, which looks okay. But the nice thing about Trapcode Particular is that we can actually work in 3D and whatnot. And I'm just going to show you a basic little setup here, and obviously with every scene you're going to want to tweak it specifically. But I think this works out pretty decently and looks okay. So let's take a quick look. Alright, so that's our rain. And actually that day was actually really raining, but the rain didn't show up on camera too well, so I had to add a little something extra, and I think it turned out looking okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the clip, which would be this guy right here. And I'm just going to pre-compose it, and we're going to work in there just for the computer's sake, because I don't want to slow this thing down. Just call this test and hit OK. Working on my old computer today, and it's quite slow, and I actually already recorded this tutorial a couple times, and it froze when I was exporting it, and wasn't a good thing. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring down the resolution so this thing doesn't crap out on us. Put it at quarter. Next, I'm going to go up and create a new layer, solid, and let's just make it black. Hit OK, call it rain. Make sure it's comp size, hit OK. Alright, next, let's go get particular. Hopefully you have it. You can achieve similar looking effects with CC Particle World and that kind of stuff, but I would recommend particular if you can get it. I believe they might even have a trial version, so it might be worth checking out. Okay, so let's open up our settings here, and we're actually going to want to open up the emitter first. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to raise the particles per second to 1,000. Excuse me, 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we got a ton of particles going on there. Next, we're going to adjust these actually a little later, the X and the Y, but for right now let's just adjust the Z and put this at negative 1,000. Okay, next let's change this to a box, okay, emitter type to a box, and we're going to change uniform to directional. Okay, then we're going to change the velocity to 540. Okay. Then we're going to change the velocity randomness down to 5. It's always good to have a little randomness in there. Change this to 1, the velocity distribution. We're going to change the velocity from motion. No, we're going to leave that one actually. Then we're going to change these guys right here. So this one's going to be 1200. That's the X. Then the Y is going to be 800. And the Z is going to be 2000. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we got a ton of particles going on in here, and we might need to bring these down a little bit, but we'll take a look when we're getting nearer to the end. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to change the life to 4. Okay, so that's just going to make them live a little longer, and we're going to change the, let's go down here. We're going to leave the particle type at a sphere. You can try some of these other ones. Some of them I've used streaklet in the past, which works okay. You can just mess around, but we're going to leave it on sphere for this. Sphere feather 50 is fine. Size, we're going to change it down to 1. Okay, so there we go. We got a bunch of just tiny little droplets. That's the idea. Size over life. Let's see. Let's bring this one up to 75. The size randomness, just so we have a lot of different variety of color droplets, and as you can see that makes a difference. And then size over life, let's do something like this. So it starts out kind of smaller, gets bigger, and then it gets smaller as it goes down. Okay, opacity, we're going to leave that at 100%. Opacity randomness, 0 is fine. Let's do the same thing with the opacity. Just bring it up and then bring it down. Okay, and that just gives it a little bit more character. Alright, let's go into the physics here, down here, and we're going to leave it on air, but then we're going to increase the gravity to 90, and we are going to go into the air here, and then we're going to go into the air resistance and bring that up to 2. Okay, and we're going to change the spin frequency to 1.5, and we're going to leave the fade in spin, and then we're going to bring the Y to 1000. Okay, and we're going to bring the Z to -250. Alright, and we're going to go down, and let's actually go back up real quickly here, and we're just going to bring the X over a bit, something around 800 or so, and this is all going to be whatever looks good for you. And then we're going to bring the Y, all our droplets were a little low, we're going to bring this up to about -200 or so, or until we can see a lot of that, and I'd say about maybe -300 even. And let's just RAM preview that real quickly, and I think that looks pretty decent. It looks more like snow right now, but if we turn the motion blur on in here, and then we turn the motion blur on there, we get a little bit of a streaking effect, which looks a lot more like rain. Okay, and the last thing that you can do, if you want, just add it in there. It already is getting it with the motion blur, but it just adds a little bit, a directional blur. If we go into Effect, Blur and Sharpen, and then Directional Blur, and let's just bring this down. This could even be really good if you want the rain going sideways or whatnot, but we're going to want it at 180, going straight down. And then let's just put this up to about 15 and see what we get here. Yeah, and that's just going to add a little bit of a difference. So let's see if we can see it. It's just adding a little bit, and if I were to increase it a lot, it would really, you see it's just streaks here. But yeah, 15 or 20, all of the effects you just want to be real subtle. And I think that looks pretty decent. And like I said, you can adjust the amount of particles, the size of life, all of that's adjustable, but this kind of gets you in the ballpark. Let's go back up here into Z and kind of yeah, if we do that a little bit more, there we go. It even looks a little bit better, like it's we got this guy right in front of the camera, and then we got some stuff back there. Yeah, that looks decent. So maybe -2000 or so, depending on the scene, but that looks pretty good in my opinion. Alright guys, that's it for today. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions on this tutorial, let me know, but also if you have some ideas for future tutorials you want to see, or future videos you want to see on my main channel, just write it all down in the comment box and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, have a good one, and I'll talk to you